morning, ladies and gentlemen. This play is called The Great Johnstown Flood of 1889. It was written by Corinne and Liliana Rossi, directed and produced by Potomac Falls High School. In it, you'll see our students in theater arts. The name of this town is Johnstown, Pennsylvania, just 70 miles east of Pittsburgh, latitude 40 degrees, 36 minutes, longitude 78 degrees, 92 minutes. In this one act, you'll see just a day in Johnstown, but this day is May 31st, 1889, otherwise known as the day the dam at the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club burst, sending 20 million tons of water and debris pummeling through 5 towns, destroying everything and everyone in its path. Time? It's just before noon. It's been raining all day. In fact, it's been one of the rainiest seasons on record, which is critical to how our story unfolds.
Well, I'd better show you how Johnstown lies. Here's Main Street. It runs parallel to Washington and Vine Streets and perpendicular to Franklin and Market Streets. Way back there is the B&O Railroad and Depot. Over here at 224 Washington Street is George Heischer's store that stays open even until 10 o'clock, trying to catch Cambria iron workers needing something on their way home from the saloon. The Cambria Iron Company is the main source of employment here in Johnstown. In this scene, I'll be playing Daniel J. Morrell. He was often referred to as the King of Johnstown. He presided at town meetings, was the president of the Savings Bank, the First National Bank, the Water Company, and the Gas Company. He served 2 terms in Congress and even managed the Cambria Iron Company.
I will be portraying Benjamin Ruff. He bought the dam up on the mountain in 1879, hoping to turn it into a fancy resort for the likes of Andrew Carnegie and his steel friends just down the road in Pittsburgh. But Ruff and Morrell did not see eye to eye on the dam's structural integrity.
I assume you're here to discuss Fulton's report on the current state of the dam?
I'm here to tell you in person to stop harassing my secretary and sending threats to my office.
Damn it, Ruff! The dam is not safe. There is a large leak cutting through the new embankment that cannot be fixed until the water level is lowered, and the water cannot be lowered.
This is utter nonsense. We found Fulton's conclusions to be rather, unsubstantiated. The engineers I've hired have found no such evidence of a leak, and that Fulton's figures on the comparative weight of the water and the dam are way off. He didn't even use the correct name of the club, referring to it as the Sportsmen's Association of Western Pennsylvania.
Ruff, do you realize that the insecure construction of this dam will be a perpetual menace to the lives and property of those residing in this valley? If we could find a secure way to reconstruct the dam with a safe means of diverting the water, I would regard this accomplishment a very desirable one.
This is utter nonsense. We consider Fulton's conclusions to be of no value. Your people are in no danger from our enterprise, and I'll thank you to cease further communication on the subject. Now, Mr. Morrell, if you are ever personally interested in the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club, I would consider your membership most welcome. How did the meeting with Mr. Ruff go?
The man is incapable of listening to reason. Believes himself to be just as high and mighty as the deep pockets up on that mountain.
The nerve of that man, Mary. The gall. How dare he accuse me of negligence?
I'm sure that wasn't his intention.
If he wants to speak of negligence, he should look in the damn mirror. People lose their limbs in his ironworks every week.
There now, you mustn't let this upset you so. Did he even look at Mr. Fulton's report?
He claims he did, but I would trust a talking box before I trust him. He cares about nothing but the bottom line, growing his political connections.
Well, there must be something we can do. The collapse of that dam could be devastating.
I know. Just let me think for a moment.
We've already made repairs to this dam. Repairs that came out of my pockets. And he completely ignored all the improvements I've made to the club itself. The grate that I added to the old spillway now keeps the fish in, and now that less water flows through it, more and more folks are enjoying picnics by the waterfall.
And you've done a wonderful job on the repairs. Lake Conemaugh is one of the prettiest sights on this side of the Mississippi.
Of course. I have done a good job, haven't I?
You have. So why let Mr. Morrell bother you so? If you say you've ensured the safety of the dam, then no one should challenge. What if you take him up on his offer?
Join the very club that is threatening the safety of this valley? Don't be damned first.
It isn't ideal, but if we were to purchase membership, we'd be closer to the source of danger.
And that way I can keep an eye on things.
Exactly.
Susan, you're a genius.
Where are you going?
To send a telegram.
Dash it all to hell! I don't care about Daniel J. Morrell or about his report.
Benjamin, don't let this trouble you a moment longer. Come get ready for bed. It's getting late.
What do you think about adding more earth to the carriage path?
What for?
That way the carriages could go 2 by 2 to the clubhouse.
But wouldn't that further narrow the dam and cause the water level to rise?
Yes, but there's plenty of room. Think about how much more money we could make if we could double our attendance. There'd be much less traffic coming up the hill.
Telegram for Mr. Rowe.
Telegram just arrived for you.
It's from Morrell. Looks like the old boy's taking me up on my offer to join the club after all.
Thank you, ladies. Now, those conversations took place in 1880, a full 9 years before John Fulton's original discoveries would be found true by the dam breaking. It seems that Ruff ignored Morrell's warnings and only made a few minor repairs that saved him a penny or two, but ultimately sealed the fate of the dam. Ironically, Morrell died in 1885 and Ruff in 1887. Neither would live to see the day that the dam broke.
Now, let's return to the day of the flood. Memorial Day fell on a Thursday that year. Schools closed, businesses didn't open until 6, and the Cambria ironworkers had the day off. 1889 was one of the rainiest years on record. The month of May had already seen 11 days of rain. And Johnstown sat in the valley of the Allegheny Mountains, between 2 rivers that ran higher than usual that spring. And on Friday, May 31st, 1889, the residents of Johnstown awoke to several inches of water already in the streets, their homes, and their businesses.
Papa!
There's my girl. How are you doing your day off school?
It's been so much fun, but it would be better if I could play outside. Oh, please, Papa! The yard has turned into a strange, funny pond. It would be so much fun to play Noah's Ark.
Now. You stay inside where Aunt Abby and Libby and I are.
Mr. Quinn, are you home for the rest of the afternoon, or just for dinner?
That depends on the weather. If it keeps going at this rate, I'd have to swim to the office. Maybe we should gather the children and move them somewhere safer. I don't like the looks of this flooding, not when both rivers are running so high. What if that dam breaks?
Mr. Quinn, I don't recommend moving Maria if it can be helped. She's mostly recovered from the measles, but she's still quite frail. The longer she stays in her warm bed in the darkness, the faster she'll regain her strength. The last thing she needs is to be thrust out into the pouring rain. She could relapse.
Very well. Abby,
Yes, brother.
keep the children close. If the rain isn't to ease up and the water levels continue to rise, you are to gather the children and move them somewhere safer. Should the dam give way, not a brick will be left standing in Johnstown.
Mr. Quinn frets too much. Every spring, people say the dam is going to break, and yet every year, it remains standing.
Indeed. Marty?
Yes, please. What exactly does he expect us to do? Drop everything and dash up the mountain? How much it's been raining, well, we'd slide right back down. This little one just narrowly escaped the measles. I can't imagine the fever he could catch outside on a day like today.
any more room up here. This is probably the last box I can fit. You're a good boy, Victor. This rain is nothing to worry about. I bet your mom's upstairs cooking a hot soup for supper.
Afternoon, George.
Mr. Quinn, is there anything I can do for you?
Not at all. Just came to see how you were getting on.
That's very kind of you, but we're managing just fine. There's been water in the basement since this morning. Came through the shop door not too long ago. But my boy just helped me move all the dry goods out the way. May need to leave the canned goods for now. How's your story? Your family alright? I heard Marie had the measles.
She is through the worst of it. Just needs some more rest. We were moving things to the second story all morning, too. Is there anything else I can help you with?
That's very kind of you, but we're just about done.
Right then. I'll be off to pick up some other neighbors. Listen, George. I'm awfully worried about that dam. Might not be a bad idea to move your wife and son to higher ground just until the worst of it passes. Just to be safe.
Right, Mr. Quinn. Keep that family of yours safe, too. Mr. Quinn is always so worried about the dam. Every time he comes around here, he's telling us that the old dam's gonna break. He sure does worry a lot, but he's a hell of a businessman. Should we be worried about the dam? Nah, it rains and floods every year. Some years is worse than others, but we make do and clean up when it's all over. Now, go tend the animals. Don't want them getting sick. Oh, what can I just say? Victor! Please. If you're quick about it, it won't take long. And I'll go check on your mother.
Back up at the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club, things were not looking too bright for the dam and its elite club members. Colonel Unger, the man who took over for club president after the death of Benjamin Ruff, went to bed last night confirming that the water level was more than 7 feet below the top of the dam. The next morning was a different story.
Colonel, I rode here as fast as I could. What's happening?
The water's only 1 meter from the top of the dam. If it reaches the top, spills over, it will load the rocks from the exterior, saturate the whole thing. Then it will be a matter of hours or even minutes before the whole thing gives away.
I was just out on the water. The streams are gushing into the head of the lake. And besides, they've already spread into the nearby fields.
The spillway is overwhelmed. The only thing we can do is cut out another exit route for the water. I've already sent a team of men to the western side.
No, that won't work. They'll only be able to reach the clay level. The tools we have around, they can't break through the rock. I'd say we'd have a better chance of clearing the debris and removing the fish guards that are keeping the original spillway from doing its job.
But that will let out the bass that the members enjoy fishing.
And maybe save the dam.
I'm not removing the fish guard.
Do you really think the dam is break? Well, they all seem frightfully worried that it might. Think of all the boats that will be lost if the lake is drained so deeply. Think of everything that will be in a strip path. We won't even see it come.
Look, if we don't remove those fish guards, the dam is going to break and there's nothing anyone can do to stop it.
Well, they're stuck anyway! Claw from the debris! We have to go into towns below as fast as we can. Ride as fast as you can down to Southwood and get word to at least Middle Point and Johnstown. The dam's about to collapse.
Sure, it's rained a lot this week.
Yes, it's been terribly raining all month.
It's such a shame that it was raining during the parade yesterday. My Andrew was so excited to march with the rest of his regiment, but I wouldn't let him for fear he'd catch a fever.
Water's running from the top of the dam. There's great danger of it giving way. Please, move to higher ground.
Do you recognize that man?
No, he seems awfully young.
I thought Mr. Bidwell said there was no danger of the dam collapsing.
Well, let's ask him. Here he comes now from the depot. Mr. Bidwell, how does the dam fare with all this rain?
The dam? Oh, well, it's just that studies day was built, sir.
So there's no danger of it collapsing?
The second coming of Christ will happen sooner than that dam getting away. Everything's safe and sound around here. Don't you worry.
I wonder why that man came through in such a state of distress.
He's gonna cause a panic if he isn't careful. Stampede is the last thing we need in the city, especially on such a rainy day.
I wonder where he got the notion that the dam was going to break in the first place.
I bet he got it from that Mr. Quinn down in Johnstown. That man acts like the dam's made of toothpaste.
Excuse me, please.
Sir, you can't just come bursting in here.
Forgive me. I've just come up from the club up on the mountain. The dam's about to break. There's great danger. We must try to warn the towns below.
I'm sorry, sir. The telegraph poles west of here at Mineral Point have gone down in the flooding. I can't set anything past there. Not to Pittsburgh or even Johnstown.
Just send the warning out as far as it will go. We must try to reach Johnstown.
I'll see what I can do. Dam in great danger. Must reach Johnstown. Please advise.
Dam in great danger. Better err on the side of caution.
Write out the warning on paper.
Deliver to station boss on East Conomo.
Have him send a man or two to Johnstown on horseback. Yes, I agree.
What shall the message say?
South Fork Dam is liable to break. Notify the people of Johnstown to prepare for the worst.
How shall it be signed?
Just sign it, operator.
The telegraph operator at Mineral Point wrote not one, but 2 different messages and sent them to 2 different train bosses in hopes that one of them would pass the message along. Surprisingly enough, within an hour's time, the yardmaster on foot and a lone working telegraph wire relayed the message to Frank Deckard in Johnstown. Mr. Deckard! Mr. Deckard!
My God, man, what's got you all riled up?
I have a message from the telegraph office over in South Fork. They say it's extremely urgent.
It better be about the rapture for all the panic you're in. Extremely urgent. Yeah, right. South Fork Dam is liable to break. Notify the people of Johnstown to prepare for the worst.
This is their only chance. I hope it works.
But Frank was one of those people who had heard the warnings for years and no longer believed that the dam could break.
That dam breaking. It's just a bunch of hullabaloo.
Back at the club, all anyone could do was watch and wait.
Colonel, I've warned everybody I could find. But you. Why did you stop the repairs? Are you telling me that there's nothing more that can be done?
The repairs weren't holding in the rain. Sent the workers away. Wasn't safe for them anymore.
At 10 to 3, water flowed freely over the top of the dam, cutting great slices of earth from the face. By 3 p.m., onlookers would later say that
The dam didn't seem to break. It seemed simply to leave, to step away, to lower all at once.
There goes the vengeful already God himself.
Heaven, have mercy on those poor wretched souls in the valley below.
What is that great black mass?
it's as tall as the mountain itself. Do you think that man's warnings about the dam were true?
It's headed towards the tower.
Emma, get out of there!
I ran down the steps of the telegraph tower and flew across the tracks to a building that stored coal. Once I was at the top, I turned to look back across the tracks just in time to see the moving mountain sweep the tower clean away.
Moving mountain. A great black mass. This was no ordinary ocean wave about to crash onto the shore. The water cascaded fading down the valley, sandwiched between two mountains, soared to a height of over twice the size of our average two-story homes. And by the time the 15-meter wall of water reached Johnstown, it had already pummeled through 4 smaller towns, destroying everything. On its errand of destruction, it picked up trees and the earthen dam itself at first, but then houses, barns, locomotives, and rail cars with passengers trapped inside them were all swept away by the tempest.
Good God. The old dam finally broke. Victor's in the boat! Victor! Victor!
Pop! What's happening?
Climb up to the roof! I managed to pull myself on top of the roof and look back to give my father the sign that I was still all right. I turned just in time to see a big black wave filled with freight cars, debris, and animals slam directly into my home. Victor! Victor! Run! Victor!
Don't
Victor!
leave me!
No! Victor! Victor! Please! I love you! The wave completely destroyed any semblance of the house that used to stand there, as well as taking both my parents' lives. In anticipation to my own death, I checked my watch. It struck 4:20. Then, to my surprise, the wave picked up the barn, with me still on top of it, carrying me directly into a current.
What did I tell you about staying inside? Quickly now, we have to leave at once.
Hurry up, Fringe. Let's get you out of those wet clothes.
Run for your life! The dam followed me straight to the hill. Don't stop for anything.
In a moment.
Girls, run now!
My baby boy is safe outside, and I worry about putting our feet in that dirty water. We could catch a fever. I don't understand why Mr. Quinn is so excitable.
It's just a little water. We need to stay dry.
Quickly, let's run to the 3rd floor.
We have to follow Papa.
Hush now. We'll be safer upstairs. This big house will never move.
Abby, would you look at that? There's a strange mist coming right off the mountain.
It's getting closer.
It's like a great black avalanche.
Damn.
Abby, this is the end of the world.
Run and get to the cupboard. Lord have mercy on us. Our Father who art in heaven.
Remember, Johnstown sat at the bottom of the valley and had a population of over 30,000, more than all of the other towns in the flood's path combined. South of Johnstown was a great stone bridge. As the water rushed towards the bridge, the great wave seemed to split. When the water reached the bridge, the debris quickly clogged the massive archways. And when the other torrents of water recombined, with no way out, the water started circling.
Anybody!
Then the blockage caused a countercurrent.
Please! The current was beginning to pick up. I jumped from rooftop to rooftop in order to stay alive. While my luck hadn't run out yet, others were less fortunate. I saw familiar faces being crushed to death by the wave. I cried, but there was nothing I could do. Eventually, I was able to seek shelter with 19 other survivors in an attic. I checked my watch again. It struck 4:30. I realized that hundreds of people have died in less than 10 minutes.
By now, the monster's belly contained over 1,600 railroad cars, trees, bridges, barbed wire, steel railroad tracks, and timber. And yet, somehow, amid the chaos, a local painter named Maxwell McCoffey caught sight of a little girl floating by on a mattress.
I'm going to save that baby.
Only God can help her now.
What do you people think an angel from heaven is coming down to help you? God only helps those helping so.
Please, come get me!
Are you mad? You'll get swallowed up instantly.
Please, come get me!
I can't just let a little girl float to her death.
Throw the baby!
Do you think you can catch her?
We have to! Come on.
Night brought new horrors to Johnstown. The great stone bridge that once put a halt to the raging wall of water now erupted into flames. The fire raged all night and continued for several days after, becoming a funeral pyre for the thousands of souls and animals unfortunate enough to become trapped in its massive oil, coal, and other chemicals. Cries were heard, but whether they were from the living or the dead, the survivors can't say. If there are such things as ghosts, those nights were full of them.
6-year-old Gertrude Quinn made it to the hillside, where she spent her night surrounded by strangers.
Hello. Aren't you Gertrude Quinn? Aw, you poor little thing. Come with me, dear. It's alright.
As the floodwaters began to recede and the fires died down, the survivors began sifting through the wreckage in any hopes of finding their loved ones.
Vincent!
Paul!
Vincent!
George
Claire!
Heister! Matilda Heister!
Elizabeth Ib!
Oh my god, they're
Happy guys!
Frank, I need
Further.
your help!
Gertrude!
Don't shoot you yet.
Please, you have no idea.
Gertrude!
This is to my cousin who lives Walter. He lives on Market Street.
Some, like little Gertrude, were lucky and got reunited with their loved ones. James Quinn got word at 5:30 the next morning that, by some miracle, his little girl had survived.
Papa.
Gertrude.
I saw the house go down. I thought you had no chance.
And Abby and Libby disappeared, and the water was going to swallow me up. But then a man saw me, and he threw me from a mattress, and oh, I'm so glad you're okay.
Have you seen Vincent yet? It's okay, my dear girl. We'll keep searching.
Others were less fortunate.
Oh, Mom. Pa.
In the days following the Great Flood at Johnstown, the death toll climbed above 2,200. They converted any standing schools and churches into mortuaries where families could come and try to identify their loved ones. 800 of these victims would never be identified.
The death toll could have been a lot higher. As I ran through the streets of Southport, warning anybody I could about the dam collapsing, people began to spread the word. Miraculously, they believed me. All but one of 200 souls in Southport made it to high ground before the dam flattened our entire town.
When news of the flood hit the morning papers, relief poured in from all over the country. Andrew Carnegie, personally, donated $10,000 and fully funded the rebuilding of the Johnstown Carnegie Library.
Almost 7,000 laborers would soon assemble to begin clearing debris and to cook and serve massive meals for the 30,000 Johnstown inhabitants who were now homeless.
Clara Barton and her volunteers from the Red Cross Relief Outfit that she had formed not 6 years prior to the flood arrived at Johnstown 48 hours later. Barton and her team immediately set to work on constructing simple, temporary shelters to put
But each time I faltered, each time I felt directionless, I remembered my parents and their love for life, their love for their fellow man. With them as my guide, I became a medical doctor working on a cure for leprosy in the Philippines. I showed the stigma and a little humanity to my patients. History credits me for saving almost 2 million lives.
At first, we didn't know what happened to those who were still in the house with me. My Elizabeth hit, my nurse Libby, was found first. Her family was devastated, and so was I. Aunt Abby was found later, 8 miles away. She was only identified by her gold wedding ring that was engraved with my Uncle John's name and the date of their marriage. My Uncle John was the one to identify her. Baby Richard was not with her body. After being reunited with Papa on the hillside, we realized that one of us was missing. My big brother Vincent. He had been helping my uncle with some chores on the day of the flood, and he was found a few days later, strewn among the debris, his body bloated beyond recognition. He was only 16 years old.
Once news of the flood spread across the country, my wife rushed back from visiting family in Kansas. I will never forget her face as she conned the loved ones there to greet her. Only 5 instead of the 9 from when she left. I can't imagine what that day would have been if my son Thomas and my daughter Eulalia weren't out of town. But as we grieve for those who are lost, our family opened up a new store and slowly rebuilt our lives.
I feel better than most. The flood destroyed my home and all of our material possessions. But my family survived. We were the only families in the valley that remained in town. I even gained a bit of local fame with the story of the girl named Peggy.
Yes, Johnstown would recover, but nobody at the South Fork Fishing and Hunting Club would ever be held accountable for what happened, despite the numerous lawsuits and inquisitions. The club eventually dissolved and the land was sold off.
Well, most everyone's asleep. There are a few lights on. A railroad engineer just finished serving to the Day Express for her morning ride to Pittsburgh. Back at the Cambria Iron Company, a skeleton crew works to keep the furnaces running through the factory. A few men stumble home from the saloon. Yes, it's about that time where everyone calls it a night here in Johnstown. 11 o'clock. It's time for me to turn in too. Good night.